Peace, YouTube. This is Get This Smoke, following the twists and turns that is the truly bizarre build up to the fight between WBO welterweight champion Terrence Crawford and David Avanesian in a voluntary defense. I'm going to go live and talk about the back and forth between Bud Crawford and Errol Spence, because it's just, there's too many facets and threads to that story to cover in a video like this. So for this particular video, I'm going to focus on the entity that Bud chose to go with instead of taking the Errol Spence fight apparently in February for a David Avanesian fight in December, because perhaps Haymon is giving his client bad counsel, or is somehow inherently in a conflict of interest. But before we even get there, I just want to acknowledge my complete support for Terrence Crawford in his exercising and exploring his newfound independence. And just like a boxer needs to develop through a process, so does a business person. So I don't want anyone to misconstrue this video with any kind of malintent towards the #1 pound for pound king, and in my opinion, the best fighter in the world, in one Terrence Bud Crawford. And even if there are some media members who are now withdrawing their support for him in his Hall of Fame bid, I still think that he has probably enough of the remaining media members, not just from the Boxing Writers Association, but from the different delegates around the world, to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. That being said, as a responsible member of the YouTube boxing community, I feel that I have to address, I don't have to, actually, that's a little bit too strong a statement. I feel like I should address the idea that there's some kind of equal comparison between the character and the motivation and the business acumen of Haymon and the head of the entity, according to Adrian Broner, who he affectionately called Uncle Dez, the head of BLK Prime. Bud inferred that perhaps Haymon wasn't accustomed to dealing with the caliber of person that Terrence Crawford is, beyond Michael Jackson, who I think was a pretty shrewd businessman, according to Paul McCartney. And one of the shrewdest businessmen in all of boxing history, Floyd Joy Mayweather Jr., also called Money May. But apparently, Terrence Crawford feels as though he is a cut above, not hating on him. Perhaps he is. It just comes across as a person who is at least, at the very least, uninitiated in how to engage with the public, or engaged in a narrative that just seems, I mean, if not just self-indulgent, then just delusional, right? I've never once heard Terrence Bud Crawford mentioned in the same stratosphere as even Floyd Mayweather, much less a Michael Jackson. But anyway, this is still my guy. And I'm not really trying to tear him down or anything. I really actually celebrate this thing because I also have experienced that feeling of liberation, that feeling of like, and I think we all have as adults who have ever, set out on their own, had to pay their own bills, cut their ties for whatever, comfort zone they felt like they had. But yeah, in the discussion of like Al Haymon being the reason why this fight isn't happening, I would just like to remind people that Al Haymon is, not only did he get his bones in boxing through his blood, he is a proven quantity in the sport of boxing, with a track record that includes the most iconic and lucrative fights in the sport of boxing before there was anything called the PBC, when he was one of the integral members of the Golden Boy promotions. The idea that he is the problem and BLK Prime is the solution, is a bridge too far for me. So I wish Bud all the luck in the world and all the success. I think that he will definitely thrill and amaze on December 10th. But the idea that somehow this is an Al Haymon issue and not a natural result of newfound independence, I don't think is defensible, I guess is the best way to put it. All that being said, shout out to Bud, shout out to the YTBC, shout out to December 10th when he defends his WBO title for the 7th time, and everyone knows that it'll be by knockout. And most importantly, shout out to him promoting himself, putting his face on camera, saying what his truth is regarding where the talks are at this point. Terrence Bud Crawford, salute. Guys, you have my support. On that note, peace, YTBC.